Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Daily Healing Journal, where I'm sharing my healing journey in real time. So today I want to talk about something that's really difficult to do, but it's super possible. I promise, hang in there. We attach ourselves and define ourselves by a future or an identity or a lifestyle that we've chosen for ourselves that no longer makes sense. Okay. And especially if you're experiencing abuse and narcissistic abuse, which is extremely tough on your psyche, it is really difficult to navigate. And if you don't understand this type of abuse, I hope you never have to. But releasing the future that you planned for is a very painful process. And I've already gone through that. So I'm already over that. And I want to share with you guys how I was able to do that. So step number one is you have to accept that you're going to be grieving life, a person, an expectation, and a dream that no longer suits the new version of you. Okay. So this means that, yes, we have to normalize grieving people who are still alive. And this happens all the time, but a lot of people don't talk about it. We talk about grieving loved ones that have gone into the non-physical. We talk about grieving lost dreams. And if we don't, you know, have an outcome that we really wanted, like maybe we didn't get that job promotion or something, but I'm talking serious life events and serious new beginnings that are pivoting on you being able to let go of the old you, the old life, the old stuff, okay? And yes, it still exists, right? It might still exist. And a different version of it might be happening right now. And the person that you're grieving and the people, for me, it was multiple people that you have to let go of, but they're still alive. And maybe they let go of you. And so you had to accept that. Or maybe you needed to let go of them and they have to accept that. Or maybe it was mutual. Either way, there's a process that we have to go through. And the thing is, as you're healing, you're not going to be able to latch on to the new life. You're not going to be able to authentically be the new you, even if you're not all the way healed. You have to leave the past and you have to leave all those other people out of this. Okay. And it's difficult because it's unfamiliar and it feels really strange to do that when your identity had a lot to do with all of that stuff and all those people. So it's that heartbreak you have to go through of accepting what could have been isn't, and it wasn't meant for you. And that's okay. This could be people, it could be a dream, it could be anything, it could be even something, a feeling inside. And we have to at some point be ready after you've already kind of gone through everything and processed everything to get into the new version of you. Okay, this is the next step so that you can enjoy all the hard work that you've done to heal. So this is where I'm at because I had to accept that this life and some of the people in it were not suitable for me. And some of them decided that they wanted to leave my presence, and I decided that I wanted to leave some of their presence. Okay. This can happen. And then I think it was mutual for a couple of people as well. So, and this is difficult. I was always somebody who never wanted to say goodbye to people that I love, ever. Okay. So to grieve people that you love when they're still alive, there's something psychologically strange about that almost makes it even harder. So it's really difficult to release a future that you used to attach your identity to. Okay. But you hold the paints, you hold the brushes. All you have to do is find the canvas, okay? And don't forget, you don't just have to paint on canvas. You can paint on a fence. You can paint, and I'm using this, of course, as a metaphor, and literally if you'd like to. But again, it's okay. You can start over. So when you surrender, there's a lot of empowerment in that. And for me, I realized that some of these people were incapable, physically incapable of having empathy. That's why the behavior was so bad. That's why the abuse and the violence was so bad. Every time I was like, why is this happening? I thought we were improving so we could be a healthy, relationship. And it was almost as if the other people were getting worse. And it didn't make sense to me. But that was because I was growing. And I didn't realize that when I either tolerated or even jived with these people, apparently I was on their level at some point. And I don't mean this disrespectfully. I mean this respectfully. Everybody's playing at a different level on the video game. I've talked about this in some of my earlier videos, okay? This is all a growth process. And that's why we all have different experiences and different opinions based on realities. And unfortunately, I had to film my reality and I recorded it. And I think that vlogging leading up to these moments in my life, it sort of just felt natural. But I couldn't use any of the footage that I was capturing because even the abuse would happen in real time, even though these people knew they were being filmed. It was really strange. And I always thought, how am I supposed to continue vlogging about my life when I can't even use the footage because it's so bad? And I definitely can't use the audio because there's so many offensive things being said. That should have been my first clue. But of course, what are you going to do? You're going to move on, but you have to let go. So that was the old life. Those are the old versions of things. And the new empowered you, it's not going to be able to soar and fly like you want it to if you're stuck in the past. And we must process the past so that we can understand how deeply we must heal. But once you start healing, it's really important to keep moving forward. And I know that some of us, me included, have certain ties to certain people where we can't quite break free completely because there's certain things that have to be settled still. But you can still do this in your mind, okay? That's the power of what I'm talking about. That's the power of this neuroplasticity that you can continue to practice so that eventually, when you can get away from your situation and these people, if maybe you can't, you're going to be ready to soar as soon as you are set free. So I had to let go of the idea of being a wife to a specific person and a mother, okay? And this was difficult because that's literally what I was building, okay? And my home, everything was all built around this idea that defined who I was at this point in my life. I had given up, lots of stuff in my life because I thought that this was the next step. And I have learned that was not the next step. And unfortunately, I lost a lot of time. Okay. And now I don't even know if I'll be able to have kids. But right now, I can't worry about that. Right now, I need to continue to heal and become a stronger version of my new self, not my old self, not the self that got me into that pickle. Okay. You got to reflect and remember there's a lot of strength in admitting to yourself, this situation no longer suits me. Okay. We feel this feeling a lot. We feel it a lot leading up to when we're ready to leave. And then we go, see, I knew I should have left. Okay. When you're growing, you're going to know that feeling and you're going to listen to it before you have to go through all of the really ugly stuff. Okay. This is why we get stuck in abusive relationships. And when people go, why would you stay in that? Because the brain normalizes this. It's very scary. And the cognitive dissonance that happens is very scary on certain levels. So thank God I documented my journey because I would be questioning through all the gaslighting and everything. It seemed like nobody remembered the truth, but I do because I have it all documented. And sadly, I made myself sick doing that. But scientists did this test on dogs where they had a fence, and if the dogs crossed the fence, they would get shocked, okay? And then for a while, the dogs would avoid the fence, okay? And they would continue to raise the fence. Then in the end, they completely got rid of the fence. And because the dogs kept getting shocked when they would cross the fence, they didn't even cross the area where the fence used to be because they got so used to just being shocked. Even though they could see there was no more fence, okay, because the fence was what was shocking them, even though the fence wasn't there anymore, they still stayed in place. We do this in our head. This is how we get stuck in abusive relationships. We do this in our mind, and it's a trick that our brain plays on us. It's all survival. The problem is that's keeping us in toxic situations. So identity shifts can be a little scary because you want to feel comfortable, especially when you're going through growth, especially when you're going through getting out of an abusive relationship, especially when you're going through a lot of heavy change and shock. And the problem is there's no comfort in any of those things. And so what happens is when the answer is us changing inside, it feels uncomfortable because you're becoming a different version of yourself. But it's all about getting comfortable with the new version of you. And it takes time. Look how long it took for you to get comfortable with what was hurting you, right? Years, probably. So we're allowed to outgrow these identities that once kept us safe. Not really safe, but for those of you who are just listening and not watching, I'm doing the quotes with my fingers again because we really weren't safe. We were stuck. You don't owe your old self anything but gratitude. I'm grateful every day that despite my shortcomings and everything that I could sit here and regret, I decided to accept this. I decided to accept it and be grateful for it because it has launched me into a way better space. And it's been painful leaving this situation. It's been painful losing people that I love. It's been painful to admit that I was in love with a version of somebody that was just an act. It was painful for me to let go of a nice life that I thought I was building, that I was very proud of. I didn't realize was a total lie. But if you have to come to terms with the new life, you have to come to terms with the old life at the same time. Compare them. Compare them. Put them up right next to each other. And then see what was real and see what wasn't. Chances are the new version of you might be a little uncomfortable, but it's probably more real. It's probably more in alignment with what you want. So if you want a new life, you have to release the costumes of your past roles. You know, when you look in your closet and you're like, I just don't wear that anymore, or I don't like how that looks on me anymore, or that doesn't fit me anymore. It's the same thing. So letting go of your old self, it can feel really uncomfortable. It creates a void, and that void can feel like death, but really it's rebirth. But it's the in between that's sacred. Okay? That's where the rebirth happens. That's where the transformation is happening. So you're not broken for needing new things, new spaces, new friends, new habits, and you're not broken for needing to release all of these bad things, okay? You need to have a release. These videos are part of my release. And that's when you have that breakthrough. New life is definitely waiting for you. And I know because I'm starting to live this, even though it doesn't look on the outside exactly like what I imagined, I can feel it to my core that I'm on the right track. But you have to remember that as you're starting to live this new life, your new life can't reach you if your hands are full of all the things that you should have let go of, right? So there's a fine balance between acknowledging what you went through, healing from that, and remembering what to look for in the future. But don't become so hard that the new and the good doesn't stand a chance. Okay. So, and that takes time and it takes practice. And the people who truly love you, if you have anyone around you, I've even told my friends that are still around, like, hey, I might not be perfect at creating boundaries because I wasn't very good at creating boundaries. But as I build this new life, I might be a little wobbly like a baby deer. So be patient with me. And some people have been, and some people have not been. And you know what? I can only do what I can do. Okay? I am doing my best. I am doing my best every day. And that is a guarantee. And I'm being as honest and authentic as I can, and it makes certain people uncomfortable. But guess what? This is my new life. So whatever is clashing with the new me, that is red flag city. And that just tells me they don't belong. So don't forget to get rid of those outdated beliefs like, oh, I'm not enough, or I'm scared because maybe I can't make it on my own, or I can't afford that. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Those things are like the ghosts that haunt your growth. Okay. So when you feel those thoughts coming on, send them away. Send them away. Even if they're true. Okay. Even if they're actually true in this moment, they won't be. They won't be if you don't let them live there. Okay. You got to send them out. Oh, welcome to Key West. They're coming on in. And then you have to ask yourself, is this belief even mine or is this someone else's? Am I believing this because I think I should based on other people's opinions? Am I believing this because that's what I was taught by someone else who had a completely different life? You could trust the people that gave you the advice, but that doesn't mean that they know how you should live your life authentic to you. That's why I talk about going back to those core values. Outdated beliefs are like running on an empty gas tank when it comes to living your new version of you. Okay. And as we heal, it's really important that we practice this. And we're not going to get it right every day and every time. But that's the repetition we have to remind ourselves. So this can include that the expired relationships. And it is so difficult because, again, a lot of times these people have a lot to do with our identity. But if you're like me and you attracted a lot of toxicity because you were conditioned based on things that you thought you were supposed to do, even if you don't know, I don't know where I learned a lot of it. Okay. Some of it's from my childhood, a little bit here and there. Some of it's from school. Some of it's from my career. Some of it's from I don't know where. But some people were only meant to be in your life for a chapter or a few chapters, not the whole book. And guess what? You're allowed to put that book down and start a new one. Imagine that. It doesn't mean that these people were all bad either. Okay? There's a lot that you can be grateful for. But if they're not going to meet you at where you're at, then that's okay. It's the same goes for them. If you're not going to meet them where they're at, let it go. This does not mean that these people are bad. Some of them are, but not all of them. I mean, when we stay past the expiration date, keep things too long, including people. Okay? It's really bad. It's really bad. Would you keep expired food? Would you eat a sandwich that's got a ton of mold on it, that's got worms and icky stuff on it because it's completely a different ecosystem now? I know that's a disgusting example, but would you? Probably not. Probably not. I hope not. Okay? Because you have a different agenda than that sandwich at that point. Okay? I hate to use the analogy of maggots because that's so disgusting. But everybody is on their own journey. And sometimes they're going to be maggots and worms and mold. Okay? So pick and choose. I hope that helps you guys today. I hate to leave you on a soggy, gross sandwich note, but I kind of look like I should be serving up some sandwiches right now, right? In this outfit. Anyway, thank you guys so much. And I'll see you tomorrow. But don't forget and don't feel guilty. Okay? Don't feel guilty of this growth. Don't feel guilty of this new version of you. I find myself going, ooh, am I doing the right thing? Ooh. And then I have to bring myself to center and go, does it align with your core values, Kristen? Yeah, it does. And anybody getting in the way of any of this is not invited to my new world that I am building. Okay? And so if you feel the same way, leave a comment below and let me know. All right? I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for your support through this. And just know that you're loved. I'll see you soon.